things that we must talk about today. If you are interested in donating, you can donate. My Cash App is at the bottom of the screen. $19 19 promotions. You can also donate at the PayPal account. That's paypal.me 19 photographics. Both of them are ours. Thank you all for tuning in on this Sunday. It's supposed to be 82 degrees today, so I definitely, God willing, want to get outside and do some things. We are broadcasting live on 4 Facebook platforms. We're broadcasting live on Instagram. We're also broadcasting live on Twitter, and I think I may be back up on YouTube. I'm not sure if anyone can go to YouTube and kind of let me know whether I'm up on YouTube or not. But I was banned on YouTube for a poem that I did almost 5 years ago entitled That Nigga. And the poem was about destroying the word nigga, uh, sensationalizing the word nigga, and how niggers came in all forms, fashions, and colors. That was the poem. The poem was a musical poem, put to music with the Last Poets, but someone reported it after almost 5 years. And on last week, and my last broadcast, what I did was I signaled out my pages where you could join Instagram, YouTube. And what you have a lot of haters. You have a lot of people who want to. They're angry at you for still surviving. They're angry at you for still pushing forward in spite of all of your obstacles, in spite of all of your trials and tribulations, because they say that you're nothing. They say that you're a problem. They say that what you're saying is controversial. So they don't want you to succeed. And when they see you constantly appearing to succeed, and I succeed only by God's permission, they're going to try to sabotage that. So someone reported that poem as hate speech when in actuality it was inspirational poetry. I don't do hate, not like that. So today I want to talk, and shame on you, whichever one of you did it. But if I am back up on YouTube, of course you can join our YouTube page. For $2.99 a month, and you get access to you'll be able to ask me to address a particular topic. You'll be able to get access to uh, free promotional items that we offer, for free graphics and all other things. Everything that I am able to offer in my position, you'll be able to have access to that, on top of one-to-one conversation about personal problems. Um, I was out yesterday, went out to visit some people because God put it on my heart to visit some people. And I was home this weekend alone and reflecting on myself, my growth, my disappointments, my depression, and other things. And God put a lot on my heart to talk about today. So we're going to do this very calm. Thank you for tuning in on Instagram. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube if you're there, on Twitter, all 3 Facebook accounts, as well as on Linked. The reason I Linked is so important to me is because it is a business site. And a lot of times in business, we are so focused on business that we forget to take care of our physical health, our spiritual health, and our mental health. So we're constantly on the go and not realizing that we're delving into depression or suicidal thoughts. All of these things are happening while we're trying to accumulate this wealth or get to the point in life where we think we're supposed to be. So we're going to talk about that today a little bit. This is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. I think I'm going to do the Like It Is intro, then we're going to come right back. So please stay tuned. We will be right back. Stay tuned, Instagram.
Tell me like it is, and not like it was. Tell me like it is, and not like it was. Tell me like it is.
Okay, family. One of the most boring podcast out there today, but one of the most powerful at the same time. Jamil Salib's Amir, the 19 Report. Shouts out to Dale Castro Powell, my man Doug, all the people out there. Thank y'all for tuning in, for supporting, for liking and sharing, to my Sugar Hill family, to all my community, to everyone that supports this broadcast. Shouts out to you, and I appreciate everything. Again, we're going to have a lot of things going on this winter, guaranteed. God willing, if I'm able to survive. I'm going through some health issues right now. It's been a year and 6 months since my heart surgery, and they have found an issue with my heart valve, the valve that opens and closes, because I've been feeling sluggish and down. So I wanted to talk about that first. A lot of times people go through major changes in their life, health issues, and prior to that health issue, you were vibrant, you were athletic, you were a busy individual, you were able to think clear, you were not jittery, you didn't have anxiety. All of these things were available to you mentally. But after you go through something like a heart surgery or cancer treatment or multiple sclerosis or stroke, anything that debilitates you from what you used to be, you're going to suffer major depression. We're talking about mental illness today, sad, seasonal, seasonal affective disorder, and many other things we're going to talk about today. But the surgery that I had has never been performed like it had been performed with me. I had so many things done at one time that any one of those things could go wrong and cause my life, cause me to have a stroke, cause so many medical issues. Uh, and the doctors who performed the surgery on me were very skilled in the medical part, but not in the psychological part. So after the surgery, and I realized I couldn't do the things that I used to do because I'm an outdoors person. I'm always busy. I'm talking to someone in particular. I'm always busy. And when I couldn't do those things anymore, I fell into a deep depression. And the only way that I dealt with that depression was to bottle it up and set it aside, because there was no one for me to talk to. No one understood what I was going through. Even some of the people who went through similar surgeries were not where. See, it's like grinding from the bottom just to make it back to the bottom, as I can't even remember the artist's name, but having memory loss like that, not being able to remember all the things that I've read and studied. And I'm not talking about me. It causes a depression that you can't talk to people about, because to them it seems like you're complaining. To them it seems like you're just giving up on life. So a lot of people who've gone through heart surgery, uh, I don't know the individual that just died. Some say he committed suicide, that he shot himself. I don't know him, and I'm not speaking about him. But I'm telling you what could have been going through his mind, because I too have that. You're smiling. You look like the happy-go-lucky person. You look like the person who never has a problem, even though they have a problem. And one day you end up, someone finds out you killed yourself. If it were not for my primary doctor who told me you will not come back to a normalcy until after 2 years, if that. So we have people suffering and dying with bottled up emotions and pain that they're not able to talk about, because we've been uh, lured into a world that says just be happy. Someone posted up, and one of the young boys, young men, Sonny Black, Nico, posted up where someone said depression is a choice, or mental illness is a choice, but depression is a choice. We're looking for the easy solution to difficult situations because we become a microwave society. And that microwave society was brought about because of the internet, of 1 second clips that'll show a beginning, a middle, and an end in 1 minute, in 2 minutes, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you think that life is that way. So we're constantly running from one thing to the next, looking for this comfort zone and looking for these things that we think will keep us happy. The world says you're supposed to have this kind of bag, this kind of car. You're supposed to live in this kind of house. And you think you're going to be happy with that, but you will not be happy with that because mental illness, depression, all are chemical imbalances in the mind, in the body. And God forbid you get into spiritual depression where you feel God does not care about you anymore. Now, I met with someone yesterday, a friend. I talked candidly with them because they're in a situation where they're bedridden. And I said, be honest with me. How do you feel? I feel worthless. I feel like I'm just existing. I don't understand. This is the person talking. I don't understand why I talk to God so clear, why I'm the one that has to go through all of this pain and hurt. And I said, do you feel like giving up? Yes. When I was in the hospital and my legs were swollen 2, 3 times their size, and I was fighting because my wife was fighting for me. I was fighting for me too. But it got to the point where when I started throwing up, and I had thrown up in like 20 something years, I sat her on the bed and I said, look, if I go to sleep and don't wake up, don't think I quit. I'm just tired. Because I'm an open person. If I'm hurting, I'll say I'm hurting. If I say I want water, I say I'm thirsty. If I say I like you, hey, I like you. I like your figure. I like your shape. I'm just honest like that. But most people bottle up their emotions. And in doing that, we put ourselves in a position for a lot of pain, a lot of hurt that is unnecessary if we can find people that we can talk to. But you have to first be honest with yourself. A lot of depressed people are liars. A lot of mentally ill people are great liars. They create these worlds that don't exist. And they'll lie on anyone to get the attention that they desire because they think attention is going to make them a better human being. It's going to make them a better person. It's going to bring them out of their depression. Only thing attention does is take your mind off of your problems. That's called bottling emotion. You did not solve any of your problems. You just bottled them up, put them to the side, and you're enjoying this moment. I don't believe in bottling emotions. I like to talk. Many of you are so secretive. Don't say nothing. Family business supposed to stay in the family. Well, if you don't know how to solve a problem, how are you going to solve the problem? A married couple should keep marriage issues in a marriage. No. You find reputable people who have gone through the vicissitudes of marriage, the ups, the downs, and you talk to them. How are you going to solve a problem that you've never faced before by yourself? This is the I know generation. They know everything, but never studied nothing, never been through nothing. And unfortunately, our children have to die to understand that death is permanent. So they don't care about death. They don't care about shooting. They don't care about jail. But all of these things have an effect on our psychological state. Now I want to go into a lot of things today. That was the opening. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. Great topic today, depression and mental illness. Unfortunately, from the time we can think to the time that we die, many of us are going through a lot of depression. Many of us are very unhappy, but we've read these how-to books, how to win friends and influence people, how to be happy in 30 days, how to not give a F, all of these crazy behind guru books that we read. And so we begin to act. The world is the grand stage of cinematography. We're actors. Everyone is out. There's no way you can be happy every day. The scripture says there's a time and place for everything under the sun. So there's a time to be happy, a time to be sad. For every yin, there's a yang. How can you just be on this side all the time? You can't. You're lying to yourself and you're bottling up emotions. And you hide when you're depressed, but you come out when you're looking and appearing to feel well. It's like parents who always brag about their children's grades, but the week the month that they don't make good grades, you don't hear nothing from them. We're situational. I want to read this real quick. Mike Tyson, I just saw a interview he was having with someone, and Mike Tyson said, "quote that he was always afraid, even though he was this killer boxer and this, and he would always say, I'll do this, I'll do that. I was always afraid." End quote. It's difficult for someone to believe that Mike Tyson would be afraid. But the thing about a person who is afraid, they fight all the time, either with the physical, the mental, the mouth. You find that women are running their mouth more and men are running their mouths more. You back a mutt dog in a corner, you find that they will fight, they will bark, they will bite. But people who suffer from depression, who suffer from self-identity issues, are most of the time very aggressive. They're great liars. They're great chameleons. They don't want you to know that they are hurting in any way. So they'll tell this person one thing, this person one thing, this person one thing, but it all benefits them. I hope we understand that. Please leave your questions and comments on the board. I know we're so secretive and we're acting like because this world has convinced us that chasing money will make us happy. So you got people working 3 and 4 and 5 jobs from home. That doesn't mean you're happy. You're getting the money and the money is necessary. I'm sad because I don't have a lot of money, because I feel that I can do a lot with a lot of money, but I don't want it to take up all of my time to make up that money, because God has given me an assignment. It's mine. I accepted it. It doesn't create friendships or make people understand you better. In fact, you find that you make more enemies when you start telling truth than you do when you lie. Liars got a lot of friends. Truth tellers don't have many. Hey, your breath is a little taut there, brother. Oh, this nigga will tell me my breath bad. Who he think he is? You don't make a lot of friends being honest. Mike Tyson, big guy, fighter, boxer, depressed. Most of our young boys out there never even lived life yet, but they got enough money to buy a gun or steal a gun. And because they are disappointed in their life, they have no respect for life. So nothing matters but looking good for a moment, dressing well, the moment matters. That's a form of depression and mental illness. When a person does not care about life, that's a form of depression and mental illness. I'm marking off things as I talk. I think I talked about depression after surgery and how many of you see a person who got up off the table and started moving around again, but we always suffer from post-traumatic stress from that time on. If my heart beats funny, if I feel a tingle in my chest, anything like that, I died. I blacked out and died in my own house. I'm going to feel some type of way. But you can't, my heart is racing, I'm going to feel some type of way. But you can't tell somebody that every day. So you have to deal with that and function. But there comes a point in life where you can no longer deal with it and function. So there's a young man, I don't know the whole story. And really, a lot of people are committing suicide, just not the speedy way. Because you're depressed, you're drinking, you're smoking, you're doing things in excess, promiscuous sexual activity, any of those things, you're depressed. And bottled emotions cause a problem. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about seasonal affective disorder. But I want to get these out of the way first. I have an issue with people who complain without solutions. I take issue with people who are always talking about what somebody should open up a restaurant. Somebody should do something for the kids. Somebody should do this. You're somebody. If you really want it done and you're not the person to take the initiative to do it, then shut your mouth. You're not qualified to even talk about a thing because you don't want to do nothing. You want somebody else to do it. Dedicating yourself to change means that you give your life to it. You put in as much work as is necessary to see the results, or as close to the results as you desire to see. Work can be delegated to people who are thinking with like-minded people. But the ultimate end goal is yours and mine. Somebody is you. We'll talk about that later. Now, let's get into the subject matter. First, I want to talk about seasonal affective disorder and what it is. Anytime time changes or anytime the seasons change, there is a dramatic effect on the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit of each individual. The moon plays a part in our everyday bodily functions. The sun does, the wind blowing, the smell of the flowers, the pollen in the air, the moisture in the air, all affects something in us, in our minds, in our bodies. Because we are so disconnected from the reality that everything was made from the earth. The beginning of the book, Bible, talks about the flesh being made from the vegetation, the bones being made from the stone, the blood being made from the waters of the earth. We are connected to it. But when you're dealing with people who don't understand that connection, we think we can fix things through chemicals. And the world wants to fix things chemically, genetically, modifying. And in modifying God's creation, we modify the God in us. So modifying thoughts comes with reading material that makes you think you can just do a thing, think and grow rich. A white man with privilege telling a poor black man to think and grow rich is really kind of funny. But the black man, so desperate to come out of his poverty, will read the book and dress the part and act the part and think that he can come out of his condition the same as another person came out of their condition. Now, I want to say this. Now, I'll say this before I start. The world today, Satan's world, is designed and intended to erase and eliminate all of the past, because the past means that someone has to be held accountable for the things that were done in the past. If you kill a family member of mine, I'm not going to be your friend tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I don't care if it was an accident. I lost someone, you didn't. If you damage my child, paralyze them, cause them to have mental issues, cause them to not know right from left, I'm not going to forget about any of that. In fact, I'm going to want revenge for that. Because an eye for an eye is a lovely tune in my soul and in my ear. How else is a person going to know what they did unless they feel it? No, I'm not turning the other cheek. And I pray that that's what God wants. I'm not turning the other cheek. But this world wants to eliminate history, to disconnect the world from the past. Once you've been indoctrinated in the school system, the college system, you got paperwork, degrees. Once you've been indoctrinated in the streets, the political system, the religious system, the financial system, you must go by that system. So anything outside of that system means that you will be ostracized. You're no longer welcome. You see what's happening to Kanye West? He's the same Kanye, but he's speaking out against things that aren't fair. And rather than the people who are unfair saying, hey, you're right, we got to change something, they push him out of the picture. And not only do they push him out of the picture, but there is 3 levels of assassination. You first must take away the person's ability to speak. Then you must disqualify their words. You must make them seem like a nut. You must make them seem like as if though they're dividing people. You must drive them insane. And once they no longer have a platform to speak, it will appear like they're insane. They will start to, their behavior will change. Like R. Kelly on the show with Gail Cowles. When he got up and said, y'all killing me with it. He just looks like an angry black man. But they did that by design. One is to cut off your connections. 2 is to make it look like you're a nut. And 3 is to either assassinate you as a person or assassinate your character and make you no longer reliable. That's the purpose of critical race theory and them trying to eliminate Black history in the schools. If you don't know it, they are going after affirmative action in the school where we can get money for school because of the color of our skin. They're going after all of that. They're making it against the law to talk against lesbian, gays, transgenders, anything that needs to be talked about. You can no longer talk about it. Now you got to bottle that up. And bottling up a thing causes mental illness and depression and death. But most of us are going along with that. The bottling up. Now let's talk about this, then we're going to close. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina. You can leave your questions and comments on the board. Intelligent ones, please. I'm not going to engage with anyone who's just ignorant to the knowledge of anything and trying to act like they're intelligent because they're talking about their opinion and their emotions and the way they feel. I want to kill people, but I know that's against the law. I literally do want to kill people. There's some people that has crossed me the wrong way that I would be happy if they were dead. But I know I can't do that. There are laws and rules and regulations that you must go by. Seasonal affective disorder. Let's go into that first. Now, this is a type of mood disorder associated with seasonal changes. Now we're going into the dreary months where there's not a lot of sunlight, where it's moisture in the air, where you can't engage in as much activity as you're used to because you can't get out like you used to. That's going to cause a chemical imbalance. It's commonly seen as depression arising during the winter months. It happens during a disturbance in the circadian system of the body. I got to look that up. Yeah, circadian system. I'm gonna write that down. We'll talk about that one day. Look it up if you can, circadian. I'm encouraging people to begin to go back to studying what someone has been through, and when they talk about it, they talk about it from experience as opposed to just talking about it. This is very common. This seasonal affective disorder is very common. More than 3 million cases per year in the US. It's treatable by medical professionals, often require lab tests or imaging, can last several months or years, and is very, very common among the age group of 18 to 35, and it's more common among females. But if you listen to my last commentary where I talked about the female energy and the feminine energy and the masculine energy, and we have both the yin and the yang in us, feminine and masculine, and that society, the way the world has been designed is to make men react more feminine to things than masculine. So men are literally being put in the place of the female in terms of their emotions, and the females are being put in the place of the male in terms of their emotion, all genetically modification, all by design. Women are calling guys now to come over and give them some head. Come over and suck my vagina till I get pleasure, and then you can leave. Same thing men used to do. This is fact. I'm not trying to be vulgar. If you're not old enough to talk about sex and religion and crime, and then don't come to this page. But women are taking on a mental masculine state, and they're demanding head from their men. And the men are down there sucking as hard as they could, but sucking from a feminine aspect. Now they're being treated like the female. You there was a crime in Florida. Look it up. Recently, this week, last week or last week, where a man killed his girlfriend, her mama, killed a little baby, tried to kill everybody in the house. And I promise you, either he found out she was having an extra affair, or she said something that triggered him from a feminine side of his emotions. But that's where we are. All of these people out killing now, they're dealing from the left-hand side, the feminine side of themselves. Women are in the boardrooms, and I applaud you, women. I love it. I love what y'all are doing. Women are in the boardrooms talking things out a bit better than the men. The reason I love that women are doing that is because women is the second self of God. When a baby is born, the woman is the God. The woman gives the milk and love and all that. Man can't do that. But because the roles are being reversed, there are mental issues. And these mental issues will be amplified during this period of seasonal effectiveness disorder. Another issue is more commonly it's in the females, and family history or likelihood of depression will cause the children to be depressed as well. But we're keeping secrets. We're not talking about our emotional issues. Our children are going through emotional issues, and I know it because they're smoking that genetically modified marijuana. And I want to tell you and caution you that this marijuana is not normal. It is manufactured in a lab, and then it is given to people to remake, and they are given the the side effects and the potential rewards of these diseases, of these chemicals, and that's all they know. But they don't know the underlying effect of these things. But it's all genetically modified. I'm not telling you that marijuana is a bad thing. I don't know. All I know is I tried the liquid and the chewables when I was going through my heart issues, and all they gave me was a hangover. It didn't affect me mentally or anything at all. And I had the most potent form from Colorado, but it didn't do me any good. Now, what it does for you is your business. I'm not arguing that. But what I'm saying is they genetically modified it. And anything that is modified does not have the same health advantages as the original. So we're going through seasonal affective disorder. And I don't know who said it, but someone posted up that they were going through issues when they had issues with breast cancer and the therapy that goes along with it. I can't really see what you said, and I apologize for that. But we'll talk about it at another time, definitely. So we're in the season of stress. We're in a time where depression is on the up. And if we don't do anything about it, if we don't address it, it's going to get to the point where it's self-medicating and the potential to take our own lives because of it. Now I want to go into a little bit deeper into the seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, a mental disorder that occurs around this time of the year. I want to read this real quick, the overview, and then we'll go into a few things, and it's not going to take long, but I'm telling you, when you're in a classroom, you got to go through reading and writing and arithmetic, the science of things, quantum physics. Overview. Seasonal affective disorder, which I'm quite sure many of you have never heard of it before, but you've experienced it. You know that it's real, but you couldn't put a name to it. There's a name for it. Seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression that's related to changes in the seasons. SAD begins and ends at about the same time every year. If you're like most people with SAD, your symptoms start in the fall and continue into the winter months, sapping your energy and making you feel moody. These symptoms often resolve during the spring and summer months. Less often, SAD causes depression in the spring or early summer and resolves during the fall or winter months. Treatment for SAD may include light therapy, phototherapy, psychotherapy, and medication. Now, light therapy is that you get a light source. Now, you can kind of laugh at Caucasian people about tanning, but going under that tanning booth and getting those rays from that light that is mimicking the sun fights depression. Many of us are not outside people. We don't go outside. We stay inside all the time. But you don't absorb, you don't go outside barefooted. When you ground yourself when you put your feet on the grass. You ground yourself to the earth when you put your feet on the grass. But these natural forms of what God intended for us to do to balance ourselves, we no longer do. We want a pill. I feel depressed. Let me pop a pill. But there are other ways to do things. There's a nutritional imbalance when we're depressed. You can't get the proper nutrition out of a hard pill. You benefit more from liquid vitamins than you do from hard vitamins because they usually come out in your stool. Most vitamins are water soluble, so if the body doesn't use it, you urinate it out. But we lack in vitamin D, we lack in iron supplements, we lack in vitamin B12. You can't get that in cocaine, meth, fentanyl, or marijuana. But you can get an imaginary bottled up emotion that makes you think you feel better, but after the high goal, you get worse. And I talk about marijuana the most because it is going to be that's our go-to drug, that and alcohol and cigarettes. And we find excuses to make it non-harmful, but it's harmful. We're going to talk about marijuana again at another time. The symptoms. Symptoms in most cases of seasonal affective disorder appear during late fall or early winter and go away during the sunnier days. Signs and symptoms of SAD may include feeling listless, sad or down most of the day, nearly every day, losing interest in activities you once enjoyed, having low energy and feeling sluggish, having problems with sleeping too much, experiencing carbohydrate craving, overeating, and weight gain, having difficulty concentrating, feeling hopelessness, worthlessness, or guilty, having thoughts of not wanting to live. Along with the depression that we feel from everyday chemical imbalance in everyday life, we got to deal with this. And most people are not strong enough to deal with this. Unfortunately, our elders, who could teach us so much about how to survive, have chosen to bottle up their emotions, go to church, take it to Jesus. I know many elderly women who are single, who are lonely, who need physical attention, mental attention, spiritual attention, who will smile at you and lie to you about how they feel because they've been guarding their emotions, thinking that that's a plus. Jesus Christ gave everything to us to see. He didn't hide nothing. But we say we're with Jesus, we're with God, but we hide everything. My point being, the world, the earth, God will turn against us when we don't do what we are commissioned to do. Our job is not to flaunt money and show how you can succeed by being crooked politicians, drug dealers, crooked preachers, or straight politicians, drug dealers, however you want to put it. Our job is to see to it that we leave something of value to the next generation. To all my hustling brothers and sisters, rap is not something of value. Not now. Drugs and hustling and fiending and do that's nothing. You're not leaving your children anything. But inside of each individual is the ability to tell truth. And if you can tell that, you can leave your children something of value. But directing them to follow the same line of lies and hustling and stealing and crookery that's going on in the world today is only going to make the world worse. If you love your children, you fight to make things better. If you love yourself and your neighbors and your community, you fight to make things better. But I challenge you to go to the parts of New York where there's heavy gang and drug violence, in New Orleans, in Philly, in Baltimore, in Colorado, in Manning, and show me where these people are building anything of value. Nothing, but they're mentally ill. So they're able to say, because I can get up, smoke weed, play music, not wash my behind, screw all day, rap half the night, that I'm in heaven. You're not angry with the right at the right people. You're accepting the wrong people. Fall and winter uh, seasonal effectiveness disorder. It comes in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, seasonal changes. I'm going through some things right now, but I want to get to certain things. The specific cause of seasonal affective disorder remains unknown. Some factors may come into play, including, listen, your biological clock. Remember, I just talked about the older women? Your biological clock and the circadian rhythm. We really got to look that up. Can y'all give me a minute? Can I look up circadian? Because that's been mentioned again, and I would like to know what I'm talking about because I didn't see this earlier. Circadian. Let me type that in. CIRA. See, if y'all were on with me and participating in the show, I could have somebody typing, somebody telling me what I didn't know. But we're so secretive, man. I really, okay. Yeah, here we go. Okay. The circadian system comprises of networks of molecular clocks throughout body. Wow. Networks of molecular clocks throughout body tissue. While circadian rhythms are autonomous, self-sustaining, and temperature compensated, the circadian system has remarkable plasticity, and feeding can modify circadian rhythms from the molecular to behavioral levels. We're going to have to talk about the circadian system because this thing is connected throughout our entire bodies. I didn't even know that. I'm going to bookmark that. Join us next time. We're going to be talking about the circadian system and how it affects us. I love it. Now, your biological clock or your circadian system, the reduced level of sunlight in fall and winter may cause winter onset SAD or seasonal affective disorder. This decrease in sunlight may disrupt your body's internal clock and lead to feelings of depression. So we must get outside, get that vitamin from the sun, activity, serotonin levels. A drop in serotonin, a brain chemical, neurotransmitter that affects mood, might play a role in SAD. Reduced sunlight can cause a drop in serotonin that may trigger depression. See, these are all chemical things. So the person who said that depression or mental illness is a choice, study a little bit more, sir, ma'am, because everything is a choice. But after making that choice, you have to do those things that makes that choice a reality. If I choose to be a drug dealer, I can't just say I'm a drug dealer. I got to get into the drugs. I got to get into the dealing and all of the ramifications that come with being a drug dealer. If I say I'm a politician, I can't sit on my front porch and say, oh, I'm a politician. I've been a politician for years. I got to get into the political realm and understand the politics of politics. So you can say a thing is a choice, like Kanye said slavery was a choice. Yes, our people chose not to be slaves, but getting out of slavery was not so easy. See, you can fight a person for a nuclear, you can fight a person for a nuclear capacitor, and you beat that person for that nuclear capacitor. But what do you do with a nuclear capacitor? You won the fight, but not the war. So you can make a choice. Like people say, I'm saved. You went to church, the preacher said you're saved. That's just the beginning. Don't let your mental state fool you into thinking that a touch on your head or a dip in the water changes your personality, changes your genetic makeup, your molecular structure, your mental state, your circadian system. New word. I got a new word. I got to put it into the BSAT words. We're talking today. Melatonin levels. The change in seasons can disrupt the balance of the body's levels of melatonin, which plays a role in sleep patterns and moods. Now, I am not sleeping at night. And my insomnia got so bad, they put me on Zoloft, they put me on antidepressant medications so that what do you call it? Anxiety medication, so that my mind would stop thinking and I would sleep. Each one of those things made me so sick. Within the first week, I couldn't take them. So I don't take the medications. I got to deal with the issue. And dealing with the issue is very difficult. But if a person's going to fight a thing, they have to be before you so you can see it. So I'm fighting anxiety, PTSD, anti-depression. I'm fighting all of these things. I really didn't believe I would make it a year after that surgery. My only goal was to get home to my youngest son and give him a few more jewels, make sure he take care of his mom. I didn't think I was going to make it this far, but God has other plans. And I'm still here and I'm still talking by God's permission. Now, risk factors, and we're going to close in a minute because I want to go into one more thing and then we're going to close. Seasonal affective disorder is diagnosed more often in women than in men, and SAD occurs more frequently in younger adults than in older adults. I want you understand that. Our women are in trouble and our young adults are in trouble. They're acting out there. I mean, there's so many factors. Many people are saying if they had something to do is not going to fix our children. We got to go into the depths of the mental fragmentation and defragment it. Because the scientists that put our children and us in this situation, they are scientists. So the scripture says we war not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. Most of us are so low, vibrating on a frequency that is so low, yet we call ourselves conscious. You're not conscious if you're vibrating on a low scale. I'm sorry. You can talk black, you can act like you know, but if you're not in those high places where that spiritual wickedness is, then you have no clue what Satan is doing. Factors that may increase your risk of seasonal effectiveness disorder. And just because you're in the church don't mean you understand Satan, because they don't teach Satan in religion. But Satan is a part of you and me. If there is a God, there is certainly a devil. It is yin and yang. If there's a up, there is certainly a down. If you are a nice person, you are just as mean. It's all in the control mechanism. We control who we get angry. I can become a murderer in 5 seconds. I can become a hardcore gang member in 5 seconds. I know how to do it. I can shoot you up, shoot your house up in 5 seconds. I can drop down into my lower vibration and become a straight up demon. I can do it. God showed me how to do it. I was on the verge of shooting up someone's house and I ain't feel nothing about it. And if it wasn't for my son coming when I'm coming, Pop, he came. But I was getting ready to fire it up and sleep well. I can do it, and so can you. There are sides to everything. I choose, by God's permission, to follow the path of proper understanding of God's knowledge. Satan chose to be a devil, to be trouble. Factors that may increase your risk of seasonal affective disorder include family history, which we know nothing about because we don't discuss it. We don't discuss our time out there doing stupid stuff. Having major depression or bipolar disorder, living far from the equator, or low levels of vitamin D. Comes from the sun. I take vitamin D supplements, and I also have to take vitamin B12 shots once a week. Because of my surgery, my body no longer absorbs vitamin D or B12. So I have to get it intravenously, and then as soon as I get it, my body wants to reject it. But I hold it as long as I can so that it will get to a cellular level, into my blood, into my Serendinian system. New word. And we're closing. Complications. Complications. Take signs and symptoms of seasonal affective disorder seriously. As with other types of depressions, SAD or seasonal affective disorder can get worse and lead to problems if it is not treated. These can include social withdrawal. You hear a lot of people on the internet saying they don't need nobody, they don't care about nobody. School or work problems. My son is going through it. I always tell him, open up your window, let some sunlight in, walk during the day. He wants to walk at night. He wants to keep the windows closed. He wants blue and red lights flashing, but he's not taking the advice that God gave me to give. Substance abuse. Of course, many of us are suffering from that, from cigarettes to alcohol to black and mild to that dreaded marijuana. It's modified now. Anything without a seed is not alive. I'm gonna say that again. Meat is dead. Should you choose to eat meat, I stopped for years, but I started back. But it's a dead thing. It don't have no life. You can't reproduce from it. Got nothing. Any fruit or vegetable without a seed is dead. It has no life. Marijuana, when they took the seeds out, they took the life out. And even if it has seeds, but they're not productive seeds, there's no life. That's like a man with bad sperm or a woman with bad eggs. Other mental health disorders such as anxiety or eating disorders, and I suffer from major anxiety, suicidal thoughts, or behavior problems. I never wanted to kill myself, but I've always wished at times that I was never born. But some people are taking their lives because no one is talking about what's happening. Now, there's no known way to prevent the development of seasonal affective disorder. However, if you take steps early on to manage symptoms, you may be able to prevent them from getting worse over time. Prevention is the ticket. You may be able to head off serious changes in mood, appetite, and energy levels, as you can predict the time of the year in which these symptoms may start. I've always encouraged my children to be proactive. Think about the things that have not happened yet and prepare for them. Yet it's a load on the mind. but it prepares you. When somebody new moves in my neighborhood, I'm scoping them out. I'm finding out what they are about from day one. When a new thought is introduced into my mind, I'm scoping it. When children are in my presence, I'm watching them. You must be proactive. You must head off a problem if you can. But people who are proactive are considered crazy. They're nuts. This ain't even happened yet. What you think about that for? What you boiling water for? What you getting this for? Noah was Noah was building the ark for 40 years now. 40 years he was preparing for something that nobody else could see. So that this dude is a nut. We live in the desert. What is he building a boat for? A symbolic boat for? You must build an ark to protect yourself from what's coming. In the Bible, it talks about the Ark of the Covenant. You must build a relationship between you and God that you understand. You can't ride off of someone else's understanding. In all thy getting, get understanding according to the Bible. Some people find it helpful to begin treatment before symptoms would normally start in the fall or winter, and then continue treatment past the time symptoms would normally go away. Other people need continuous treatment to prevent symptoms from returning. That is what we're going through at this point. A lot of people are going to feel depressed, more so than normal, neglected, more so than normal. You can listen to speeches and talks and preaching, and that helps for the moment. But we must address the underlying issue. My underlying issues as a man is I feel like I didn't do enough. I feel less than what I perceive a man to be, to provide for my family, to provide for myself and my community, and do things of value, to leave a legacy. I don't like when people call me a king. I'm not a king. I would love to be one, but I can't put the definition of king on who I am. I'm a survivor by God's permission, but not a king. I'm not dictating and organizing and orchestrating things in a manner that makes me, I won't carry that mental weight like you all carry wanting to be rich, and you spend all of your money on rich looking things and don't have enough money to pay for your Section 8 apartment or your new trailer. Or you sign a 40-year mortgage and hold your keys up on the internet and tell people you bought a house. You ain't bought nothing yet. But the fantasy of it. Now we got to hold the stress of trying to maintain something that we didn't understand from the beginning. We're talking about mental illness now and depression in our communities and why it's happening. It's all falling under this false image of what we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to feel, as opposed to what we are and how we really feel. Now, from a Black perspective, this is our News One. News One. The title of it is Black People and Seasonal Depression. How to combat seasonal affective disorder. See, this is being talked about in communities of color, non-color, but on our level, we don't know nothing about it. We don't understand that as poor people, you're in a realm of your own. As middle class, you're in a realm of your own. As people with crime and violence in their community, these people over here don't really care about what you're going through. That's why I said in the beginning, some people have a one-track mind. If it doesn't affect them, they don't care about it. They don't know how to care for the whole. Every time they're on, it's always somebody else's fault. It's never theirs. And it's only a problem when they're hurting. An estimated 10 million Americans suffer from what is known as seasonal affective disorder, mental illness. I want to read this from a Black perspective, and then we're going to close. SAD, also known as seasonal depression, seasonal affective SAD, also known as seasonal depression or the winter blues, is a specific type of depression that occurs during the change of a season, typically from fall to winter. It's worth noting that although rare, some people suffer from SAD during the summer months as well. Now, we're working from home now. We're in the house all day long. We're not getting outside. We're not getting sunlight. We don't do the things that are necessary to keep our bodies and our minds chemically balanced enough that we can deal with this mental issue. According to Healthline, exposure to sunlight is thought to increase the brain's release of a hormone called serotonin, which is associated with boosting mood and helping a person feel calm and focused. But at night, less light or no light at all triggers the brain to release melatonin, which is responsible for helping us to sleep. At the start of the winter months, as our bodies is adjusting to less sunlight and colder temperatures, your serotonin levels can dip, which can lead to seasonal depression. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to how you feel. Symptoms of SAD include for Black people, but are not limited to for Black people, fatigue, irritability, low energy, problems concentrating, increased need for sleep, increased appetite, weight gain, as well as an increased need to be alone. It's important for Black people, young and old, to understand different types of depression and how they affect the mind, especially SAD. African Americans have a higher rate of vitamin D deficiency. So the lack of sunlight or sunshine on our melanated skin can literally impact our mood. We don't absorb vitamin D well. Most of the times, Black people need a supplement for vitamin D. Psychotherapist Farrah Harris told Izza and Livy, however, due to the increase of mental health stigma in the Black community and unhealthy mantra, the Black woman needs to be strong. This is the mantra. The Black woman needs to be strong and magical. Many Black women can be impacted by SAD and resign to keep their experience to themselves. See, we talked about that privacy. You going through hell and you put on that wig and them eyelashes and that makeup and make people think that you ain't got no problems at all. I always ask my wife, you all right? You okay? You sure? You met something wrong? You listen, we have to help each other. I'm able to handle truth. Some people can't. I thank God for that. I thank Allah for that. We're closing. A 2018 study from Science Daily found that Black people and Latino Americans are significantly more likely to experience more serious depression than white Americans. You got to bring white and Black into this thing because we're not the same. White homosexuality and Black homosexuality are not the same. White drug use and Black drug use are not the same. Fentanyl doesn't do Black people like it does white people. Meth doesn't do Black people like it's going to eventually affect us, but we have different chemical makeups. So it's not going to be the same. But if you can't talk race and religion and politics and gender, how are you going to get to the bottom of anything? So Satan's world is saying, stop all of that. You can't say nothing about gay. You can't say nothing about color. You can't say nothing about nothing. So now we all got to suffer through these things on our own in private or act like it doesn't exist. In closing, a 2018 study from Science Daily found that Black and Latino, I said that we're trying to battle against seasonal depression. It is important to first acknowledge how you are feeling. That is the key. How can a person help you when you don't know how you feel? What's wrong? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know something. When trying to battle against seasonal depression, it is important to first acknowledge how you're feeling. Do not suffer in silence. Do not suffer mental illness in silence. You can't fix it. Just like you can't fix a marriage when you don't know nothing about marriage. You're individuals when you first come into marriage. You're fighting for your independence. You don't know how to come together. You don't know how to come together when there's an issue. And dealing with mental issue is it's difficult. But if the person with the mental issue gives in to feeling sorry and sad and pitiful, who can help you? I got mental issues. I got abandonment issues, lack of love issues. I got fear issues. I got all of that. You do too. But I ain't gonna lie to you about it. It's also recommended to increase your vitamin D intake. Talk to your doctor, your primary caregiver, and see if you can get a prescription for vitamin D. Try to stay away from the pills because the pills are they don't absorb in the body well. Uh, but the liquid may do better because vitamin D mimics sunlight and helps with your mood. Also, always stay active and find hobbies that keep the blood flowing. See, I'm always working in my yard because I can work at a pace where I don't get winded. But when people see me, you're always out in that yard. I'm saving my life. You don't care. You don't care really whether I'm outside or inside. You're just concerned that my being outside is beautifying my home, beautifying my yard. And you got a problem with that. But you don't care what I'm going through. Because if I suffer inside, you ain't gonna knock on my door and say, hey, bro, I ain't see you in like 10 days. Where you been? What's going on? How you feeling? I'm outside all the time because I battle with mental illness. And I deal with it better when I'm in the sunlight, when I'm in the dirt, when I'm walking and when I'm talking. And I talk to myself when I'm reading, when I'm studying, because there's really, as of yet, no one that can help me with my problems. Sometimes I talked to someone on yesterday that said, I pray to God all the time and I don't know why he won't answer me. Sometimes I feel that way and you do too. Because we all want good health. We all want money. Nobody wants to be broke. Nobody wants to be addicted to nothing. Hobbies to keep the blood flowing. Anytime you have time to take advantage of the sunlight, make it a priority. There's so much more to this subject, but I don't want to overextend my stay. I thank all of you on Instagram. This time I did look once or twice what's happening, how y'all doing. I thank everybody on all of my Facebook pages. I hope that I'm back up on YouTube because someone reported my poem as hate speech. These are people who don't have nothing to do, not nothing, no thing, but troll all day, every day. Hey Douglas, what's going on? Douglas McCrae says that Black people should stop blaming people for their depression and blame yourself. You have the knowledge to cure it. Correct. I agree with that. Barbara Farrell says, I tried. I don't know exactly what's that pertaining to. Shouts out to Dale Castro Powell said, great, great, great. Says, great, bro. You speak real truth. I appreciate that. He and I going to be back on the show real soon. Y'all look for that. Again, for anybody that thought there was an issue there, if it is an issue, y'all won't know about it. We're going to be out up front doing what we do, trying to take the knowledge that God has given us and share it. I take that back. If there is an issue, we'll talk about it on the show, and you will be included in it. So thank you all for tuning in. Go back and listen to this. Look up all this information. I promise you, God willing, we're going to be talking about the Saradian system because I didn't know anything about this system, but the Saradian system plays a major part in our everyday life. And I want to encourage people to please stop bottling up pain and emotions. It turns into illness. It turns into a lot of things. But you must want to help yourself. And you must want to do all that you can do for yourself. I thank everyone for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina, talking about the subjects that we don't talk about, going into the things. Oh, Barbara was talking about to look up circumdient. That's because you spell it wrong, Sugar Plum. It's okay, let me type it in real quick. See if I can type it in. Ciradian. I might have said it wrong. Saradian system. Thank you for trying to look it up. I appreciate that. I hope that goes on. Yeah, Saradian. So thank everyone for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. I think I'm gonna go out with that outro, telling it like it is. And if you have a subject or something you want discussed, just hit us up. We'll talk about it. And I'm going.
Tell me like it is. His, and not like it was, tell me like it is. His, and not like it was, tell me like it is. Tell me like it is. Like it is. Like it is. Tell me like it is. Like it is. Like it is.
The Instagram family. I apologize for not looking up again. I'm trying to get that camera in front of me so I can see when people wave or comment. But what's happening, nephew Jay? Glad that you stopped by for a minute. Young Quake, my son, I appreciate you always, both of y'all. Y'all know how that go. I see y'all grow together and see y'all advance way beyond what I ever been able to do, and it really, really, really is impressive, and I love it. Want to say what's happening to Jawad. Uh, Thank you for tuning in. I hope that y'all will share this information. And again, you can always add on to it or take away from it or debate the subject. But let's get to some workable solutions to these issues in in our community. Thank you all for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina. I'm trying to end that. And I'm trying to end that. Thank you.